Sure, I'll take your transcript exactly as a base and fully rewrite it for Dinar Scope, while keeping every part of your structure, tone, and energy intact. The flow will be smoother, the grammar tightened, and the language will feel even more natural, like a professional host speaking confidently and conversationally. There will be no section titles or breaks, and it will run as one continuous newscast with at least 20 rich paragraphs. Welcome back to Dinar Scope, your trusted source for the latest updates on global currencies, economic shifts, and breaking financial trends. What if I told you that some of the world's weakest currencies today could soon become some of the strongest? That a quiet but powerful financial storm is brewing behind the scenes, one that could flip the global monetary system upside down. In 2025, we're watching what many analysts believe is the early stage of a massive global currency reset. The US dollar's dominance is slipping, and new players are stepping forward. Countries like Iraq, Vietnam, and even a mysterious digital coin that no one has fully identified yet. This isn't just rumor or speculation. It's a pattern unfolding right in front of us. The data, the policies, and the market moves all point in the same direction. And if these signals continue, the next few months could redefine how people all over the world think about money, power, and trade. So let's break down what's really happening, what it could mean for you, and why this might be the biggest financial story of our generation. Right now, the global financial system is shifting in ways we haven't seen for decades. Central banks around the world are quietly moving away from the dollar-based system that's dominated global trade since the 1970s. Iraq, a country that's long depended on the dollar for oil sales and international transactions, is making some surprising moves that are turning heads. Across the financial world, the Iraqi Dinar, once dismissed as nearly worthless, is beginning to gain recognition and momentum. But what's driving this? It's not hype-it's strategy. The Central Bank of Iraq has been steadily working to reduce dependency on the US dollar by strengthening its reserves, building foreign partnerships, and aligning itself with global banking systems that don't rely on Western institutions. These aren't small changes, they're deliberate moves that could lead to a revaluation of the dinar's exchange rate. And that's exactly why financial experts are watching Iraq more closely than ever. For years, Iraq had little choice but to handle most of its major transactions in US dollars, especially for oil. This system kept the dinar undervalued and tied Iraq's economy to American policy. But over the past year, that's started to change. The government has been promoting the use of the dinar for local and international trade. Businesses are now being encouraged to write contracts and settle payments in dinars instead of dollars. New payment systems are being tested that could allow Iraq to trade oil and other currencies, like the Chinese yuan or even in digital tokens. Now, it might not sound dramatic at first, but in the world of global finance, this is huge. Every time a nation moves away from the dollar, the balance of power shifts a little. And when enough nations start doing it together, the entire system begins to evolve. Vietnam is another key part of this story. The Vietnamese Dong currently trades at around 24 to 25,000 per US dollar, which seems weak on paper. But look closer, and you'll see a different reality. Vietnam's economy has been growing at an incredible pace. It's become a manufacturing powerhouse as more companies move their supply chains out of China. Exports are rising, infrastructure is booming, and trade relationships are expanding fast. Yet the value of the dong doesn't reflect that growth. Many economists believe Vietnam's currency is intentionally kept undervalued to support its export-driven economy. But as global trade patterns evolve, that policy may not hold forever. A realignment or revaluation could be coming, one that brings the dong's value closer to its true economic strength. When you compare Iraq and Vietnam, the parallels are striking. Both nations have undervalued currencies. Both are building trade deals that bypass the dollar, and both are quietly accumulating gold and reserves, a classic move before a monetary shift. And while their efforts may not be directly coordinated, the global trend they represent is undeniable. More and more nations want financial independence. They're preparing for a world where power is spread across multiple currencies and even digital assets backed by real commodities. And that's where the mysterious part of this story comes in. Financial insiders have been talking about something they're calling the mystery coin, digital asset believed to be linked to this new trade era. Some think it could be an early form of a regional central bank digital currency. Others say it's a blockchain-based token tied to tangible resources like gold, oil, or rare minerals. What makes it fascinating is how quietly it's being tested behind the scenes by countries, eager to break free from Western-controlled banking systems. If this digital coin truly becomes operational, it could allow countries like Iraq and Vietnam to settle trade instantly with no middlemen, no dollar conversions, and no waiting periods. That would be a massive disruption to how the global financial system has worked for nearly a century. You might wonder why now. Why are so many nations suddenly moving away from the dollar? The answer lies in recent global shifts, rising U.S. interest rates, inflation, and sanctions that have made countries realize how vulnerable they are when one currency dominates. In response, nations are creating new currency swap agreements that allow them to trade directly in their local money. It's a quiet but powerful rebellion against dollar dependency, and it's spreading faster than anyone expected. For Iraq, this could be transformational. Its economy has long been dependent on oil, and oil sales have always been processed through dollar channels. But if Iraq can sell oil and other currencies, or even digital tokens, it could retain more wealth within its own borders. That's the idea behind the central bank's new payment initiatives. Imagine Iraq selling oil directly to Asia or Europe and being paid instantly in a stable, non-dollar digital currency. That single shift could dramatically increase the real value of the dinar over time. Of course, it's not guaranteed, but it's possible. And that possibility alone is fueling serious interest among financial analysts. History has shown us how currency reevaluations often follow stability and independence. Look at Kuwait after the Gulf War. Its dinar was devalued, then later became one of the strongest currencies in the world. Iraq seems to be setting the stage for a similar transformation. Political stability, rising oil production, stronger ties with financial institutions are all signs of what could come next. Vietnam's story is equally compelling. Once seen as a low-income nation, it's now one of Asia's fastest-growing economies. Global companies are investing heavily, exports are surging, and reserves are strong. The country's real economic power far exceeds what its currency currently suggests. That imbalance can't last forever, and when it corrects, it could catch markets by surprise. Now, back to that mysterious digital coin. Multiple central banks are rumored to be experimenting with blockchain-based tokens designed to settle international transactions instantly. These aren't cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, they're state-backed, secure, and fast. Some reports suggest that countries like Iraq, Vietnam, China, and Russia might be working together on a shared digital settlement network. If that turns out to be true, it could form the foundation of a brand new global financial structure, one that doesn't need the US dollar at its core. For investors and observers, that's both exciting and uncertain. The upside could be enormous, but currency markets are volatile, and governments can change direction overnight. Still, one thing is clear. More countries are diversifying, signing new trade deals, and preparing for a multi-currency world. It's not a matter of if the shift happens, it's a matter of when. Another area where we're seeing big movement is in the energy sector. For decades, oil sales were tied to the US dollar through the petrodollar system, but that foundation is cracking. Iraq has openly discussed selling oil and other currencies. And even Saudi Arabia, the pillar of the petrodollar, has started accepting alternative payment options. Russia and China already trade energy in non-dollar systems. If this trend continues, demand for US dollars could drop significantly, opening doors for other currencies and possibly that mystery coin to rise in influence. Skeptics argue the dollar is too powerful to be replaced anytime soon. And they're not entirely wrong. The US economy is still massive, and the dollar remains the primary global reserve currency. But history shows us that no system lasts forever. Financial dominance always shifts with time. What we're witnessing today looks like the beginning of that next chapter. The question isn't if the reset is coming, It's whether you'll recognize it before it happens. Behind closed doors, policymakers worldwide are preparing for what's next. Some are building blockchain-based clearing systems. Others are creating digital tokens backed by commodities. Even smaller nations are joining regional payment networks designed to cut costs and reduce reliance on Western banks. The global financial map is being redrawn, and countries like Iraq and Vietnam are determined to secure their place on it. At the heart of this movement, sovereignty, the ability for nations to